Do you feel like sometimes your dreams won't come true? This is the conversation for you. Today we are sitting down with Daphne to understand why sometimes our goals may not come to pass.
The dream begins with you. There is an amount of delusion you have to have. Some people call it audacity, that you have to allow your dreams to step into the room and take over.
Daphne featured in two major series, the Hostel and Sanyu series, where she was both an actress and scriptwriter. Her creative work later expanded into production, where she was the creator and producer of the famous film Borders.
The African Jewel is a performance troupe, and our mission is to export Ugandan culture.
This film got a lot of international criticism. And just like every other great person out there, she faced a lot of hurdles and second guesses. And in this episode of The Author's Mind, she will be giving us the ways she survived and made her dreams come true. Who is Daphne Ampire?
A work in progress, for sure. But I am married to one Mr. Karma. I'm also a filmmaker. And I'm a believer. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And I've been in film for, I think, almost 15 years now. And I've been writing, I've been acting, I've been producing. And yeah, so I woke up last year and I thought, this is a lot. I feel like enough years have gone by. I think I should say something on it. Yeah, and that's came the book.
The book.
And hence the...
By the way, the book is really nice. I encourage all of us to get a copy at how much?
At 35,000.
Only 35,000 Uganda shillings. You can, I think, send us a DM on The Author's Mind and we shall respond to you. Get yourself a copy. If you're a creative, it will change your life. So let's get to the topic of this conversation. Dreams come true, but are you ready? Are you ready?
Not at all.
Why did you
Not
choose
at
this
all.
title?
I was always very happily delusional.
I think it's a good thing.
Logical and exceedingly illogical, very artistic. I always had a very colorful mind. And for me, my constant go-to phrase was always like, no, dreams come true. Dreams come true. One day my dreams will come true, you know? So even when something I was working on was really difficult, it became like a hope, like a crutch that I would lean on to constantly remind myself that dreams come true. And when I got a little older and the dreams were coming true, I was like, gosh, I was not ready.
Yeah, it's quite crazy at the big age.
Yes, it is.
So you believe dreams come true. What can someone who is watching us today, because most of us, in the society we live in these days, especially us as creatives, the truth is we are a little delusional in our constant wanting to be better and achieving maybe our writing careers, and doing big things. So what can you tell someone watching us today who has seen this title on a bookshelf? They're like, dreams come true. Is it really true? Are you ready? What can you tell that person?
I think you need to believe in yourself. Well, grab the book, read it, have a go at it. But also, the dream begins with you. There is an amount of delusion you have to have, or some people call it audacity, that you have to allow your dreams to step into the room and take over. Uganda wasn't built in one day. Men stood up and had the audacity to make it a country. You have to have the audacity to walk into certain rooms, to imagine you are something that you're probably not just yet. So for me, dreams come true. It's not about being prepared, really. It's not about feeling yourself and accepting that I am the one and all that. It's saying, for me, somehow it will work out. Exactly.
It's about being persistent about that one thing that you believe deep down in your heart that will come to pass.
Yeah, that you are everything that you need to be, that you are beautiful, that you are counted, that you're, whatever it is, your expression, get a piece of paper, write it down, you can sit in the quiet of your home or something and say, I'm going to be this, and I'm going to be this, and I'm going to be this, and I don't know. Maybe table it to God and say, God, me I've done the planning. I am done as far as I'm concerned.
In terms of the planning, me, I've done my part. Please provide the dream.
Exactly. I've believed.
Yeah. And that is very important, because in most times, we grow up with these amazing dreams. I want to be a pilot. I want to be a doctor. I want to do big things. And then when we reach 20, you're like, but that was just a dream of me as a child. But in real sense, that was actually what you were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
If you are consistent.
Yeah. And some dreams are really achievable.
They are.
I could never be a doctor, although my mother wanted me to be.
Oh, yes.
Because me and sciences were not friends like that. I did enough to get by. But there are some dreams that honestly it's within your docket. It's even in your expression, like it flows through your blood. And I think people should really pay attention to what their interests are and because I caution parents in there that pay attention to your children.
Yes.
The things that they're drawn to are probably where their dreams will come true from. That's where their talent probably is. Focus in on that and don't push them in several different directions that they probably have no interest being in.
Many times as kids, that we have so many real passions, I think that flows within us naturally. Maybe let us say, as a girl, you liked doing those cooking games, as a guy, you liked playing with those cars and stuff. And you're like, I really love cars. I don't know why, but I love cars. And one day when I grow up, I want to do something with cars. And then along the way, I don't know what happens. I don't know why we constantly keep forgetting that.
Yeah, because that's truly childish.
You keep telling yourself it's a childish dream. But then you're finding you're not fulfilled in life. You're finding that things are not working out for you. So I think we should pick one thing at least from you, which is, however crazy it may sound, that thing that comes naturally to you and that thing that you've always wanted to do, you should go out and pursue it. You should go out and pursue it. Anyways, let's first leave the book a little bit and get back to... let's start with your background. And because in the book you talk of how you had a beautiful childhood and how your mom was like a huge part of that childhood. What are the most cherished moments for you when you were growing up?
So we grew up in a very big household. It was my 4 siblings and other 4 cousins of ours. So it was quite the full house. Cherished memories. I think there was a lot. Any gathering, really, anything that went out of the natural. And I think I also got to start dancing and performing on stage a little early. So that was really exciting. I don't know if I can remember a lot of things childhood-wise, but maybe that memory that I shared in the book about going to the village and seeing the way the village guys were celebrating Christmas, the drums, the banging. I was like, what is that? I've never seen that before. I think it was a very normal childhood. I didn't feel like there was anything out of the ordinary. But we were just a simple family with simple dreams. So we had a table, our dining table. It's still there. Our dining table was our stage. So you would get onto the dining table and say all the things you want to say, and other people are going to stay there listening to you. And my mom had kind of created a culture where we actually listen to whoever is on the table. Like, you know.
Do you believe like such moments led to maybe the confidence in you believing in your dreams?
Absolutely, because imagine if you would get your mom's attention and she would clap at the end of your little performance. I'd be like, seems I'm good. We should do this again.
And I think that also brings in the aspect of the fact that supportive parents are important in early years.
Very, very important.
Because if you're to look at a child, let's take an example of you who had a mom who constantly said, go and pursue it, go and do it. This is what you're supposed to do. I encourage you, I support you, I'm by your side at all times. Because as a child, you don't have your own confidence. You're depending on your parent.
Absolutely.
And, you know, many times we grow up in environments as Africans who have parents who are like, Writing is not a big thing.
Right.
You go and become a doctor or a lawyer so that you can bring money, and you've succeeded.
Yeah, we want some props in this house. You're just here. Who is going to see you when you're writing?
What can you? Very true.
Sorry, I'm a screenwriter. We have dialogue constantly.
I understand. So what can you tell that little child who had a different childhood from yours, and maybe they didn't have a supportive mom who was pushing them to say, you have to go and pursue that dream?
I think it's never too late.
Yeah.
I've seen people who have succeeded much later in life. And I think the advantage also of age is that you're a lot more self-aware. You probably have better resources and better connections. There are just some mistakes that you will not make very easily because you just didn't wander off into the dream and say, hey, here we are. So I think they should still pursue it if they feel like this is something that they really want to do. Yeah, knowing that the time they've spent away, it will not be wasted. You probably use the connections that you have, the influence or the money that you have, to make your dream even bigger than it could have been had you pursued it from a very young age.
That is really important.
Yeah.
Anyways, apart from that, we also read in the book that you had a really supportive partner. What is the importance of having a supportive partner in your career as a creative?
Oh my gosh. I think there are no words for support. Yeah. Support as a child, support as a creative, even as an adult. I think some people think that when you clock 25 or an up, you are suddenly, you are a full package.
Yeah.
But the truth is that every single day is different. There'll be ups, there'll be downs, it will be good, it will be bad. And even the Bible says that we need friends, who sticketh closer.
And a brother.
Exactly. So your partner being one of the people that supports you is, oh my goodness, it's insurmountable.
It is.
To know that, I have to come to the authors forum. Could you drive me? It's like, okay, sure. Oh, I'm going. What do you think I should talk about? Or just sharing as a human being, and not seeing those things are part of the reason people don't accomplish. Every time people very easily box you in or want you to be something else, those are part of the reasons why you may not accomplish your dream. And man, you need more men on your what do they call it? You need like a fan base, so you need a family fan base,
a support system.
For sure.
I think also it can even go bigger than just your partner, your friends, your family member.
Yeah.
You need those people where you're like, today failed, guys. Today failed, and I'm feeling so bad.
Absolutely.
And then they take you for ice cream and you feel better.
Yeah.
Kind of people.
Even a simple message or, guys, I'm premiering something, and all of them come. Even if my 10 friends and family come, me, I'll feel very supported. Everybody else is an extra.
It is very important to have a support system as a creative. And I cannot stress that point enough because many times in this field, there are a lot of doubts. You wake up in the morning and you've written a piece and you think, is this even good enough to be on TV?
Right.
And then you have to go, maybe your partner that day is seeing you sad and it's like, what is wrong? And you're like, you know what, this piece is not okay. And they push you and they're like, you can do this. I mean, you've believed in yourself for 10 years, you can do this also. So I cannot stress that enough. And it also brings in the aspect of having people in your life who are also a bit in alignment in terms of purpose. Okay, they may not be writers, but they're also trying to pursue something in their career.
Yes.
Maybe they have chosen a different career from yours, something even outside the creative space, but they are going somewhere in life.
Yeah.
Because I believe having friends who are not very ambitious it's not advisable. Yes, it's not advisable.
Yeah, I guess what I could also say about family, the reason I don't really like talking about my family per se, but in this story, part of the reason I've become who I am is because of the support that I got. And I think as filmmakers, we're not going to be young forever. I was once a 19-year-old filmmaker who didn't know left from right. But then you reach a stage where you grow up and you need to get married and you need to have children. And people think that there should be a separation of the two. I get part of the reason I brought my husband inside this book. I was like, I think we are not perfect, but I think we're doing the best that we can to support one another, to understand that this is a career like any other. Some people have this notion or mentality that filmmaking is very dirty and whatnot.
Yes,
and we're like, absolutely not. It's about the story. If you don't like the story, get off the set, you know. But other people are writing very healthy and meaningful stories to society. So when he sits with me and he plans with me, for him, he's very corporate. He comes from a business background. That's what he studied. That's what he loves. And me, I have no idea about the business side of everything.
Yeah.
But I'm very passionate about getting the work done. So I tell him, okay, let's fuse the two worlds. Let me do the best I can creatively, do the best you can business-wise, and let's see how it works. Walk into these rooms that scare me and make propositions that I would never make, you know, like... on my behalf, maybe. Yeah. Sometimes it's not even him in particular, but he will send out the right people. It's like, I think this person is very good for your field. You know, I need you to talk to this person and things like that. So we have found a way as a family to create a unity that makes sense to us.
Yeah.
It's more than support. It's also direction. It's also... You
know what you've actually said brings in the aspect of marrying with purpose. And actually, you know, it's not much into the writing space, but getting someone who can understand your vision and your purpose. Because if I'm to bring in that marriage aspect of living, as younger people, as creatives, as people who want to do great things, I think it's better in this life to choose someone who at least is half as ambitious as you, and also understands your vision. Because in the book you speak of times where the money was not there for some parts of the project, and he came in and said, you know, my wife has a vision and I have to step up. And I will not proudly say that many men are like that, but to have something like that is a blessing. And I think people who are watching us out there that are married, and you're watching your partner struggling with a vision, do not watch them suffer alone. You should work hand in hand with them to become, you know, you become a unit to become one. And so his dream is your dream is his dream. So you work hand in hand to become something, to become big. Better. So it's a very important aspect. That's where the support system comes in, because it starts with your partner, then it goes to your family, then it goes to your friends, and it goes to, you know, your workmates. It's very important as a creative to have. Very, very. Yeah, thank you for bringing that aspect on board. You're welcome. Yeah, so I noticed, I mean, you wrote here that you also did an IT course. Yes, I did. At the university, and then in that process you were doing, you know, radio, you were an advertisement. So how did you balance all of that? Very badly. Very badly. I was a campuser. Campuses, we don't know how to manage time sometimes. Just now I would show up to class very tired. I would be very confused. What's happening? I would cram most of my units. I'd be like, okay, what's the point? I can't say that I was the best student at my campus, mostly because I was working. I was making films, I was acting, I was doing all kinds of TV ads, and I was also very social. Yes. So I was quite liked. Many people, so you have to, like, you be here, you're here, and then you have lectures, you have coursework deadlines. Yeah, and I remember someone telling me, you're still at campus? I think you've studied.
And I was like, I'm in third year, guys. It takes a few years to finish.
No, it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
How did you end up doing ICT and yet, you loved writing?
I did love writing. My parents had made a decision that they are not going to play around with my future. So I really wanted to do MDD or film at campus. At that time, I think it wasn't called film. It was basically MDD.
Yeah.
And they discouraged it. It was not a very hard no, but it was more of think about yourself and think about your future and think about your future career. Is that a way for you to get money? And I said, okay, let's secure the future first. Yeah. So that's how I ended up in IT.
Ended up doing IT. There are many, I don't know why, but I've had many stories of people who we go to campus and we do another course that is outside our field and come out and do something completely different. Now, someone who is maybe watching us today and they're in an IT lecture and they want to write, what can you tell them?
I think stay the course. Education in all its forms is very important.
Yeah.
Because you find that some people don't quickly spring into film. The difference with me was that I was practicing even while I was at campus, but some people simply have the dream and they're still seated on it. So stay the course, finish your degree, do it to the best of your ability, get into employment if you must. Why I say that is because I kind of shared that even later, for me, the IT was to ensure that I am not, that I don't fail to be technically savvy.
Yeah.
There is no software or app that you could give me that I don't think through when I think about the back end and its design and things like that. But it's because I have the background of IT. It's because I understand technology.
So you believe that every step led you to where you are
Yes.
today? Because
Yes.
maybe someone is doing law and that they are feeling like they are constricted and yet they want to do writing. But at the end of the day, they can actually use their
Absolutely.
law. Maybe they're doing films and they need to sign contracts. So every step leads you to where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
As long as you keep consistent.
Yes, as long as you keep consistent. Because I've seen a lot of lawyers who are great filmmakers because they understand the use of language. You understand? So you don't count yourself out of writing or of your dream because you feel like you're in a different direction altogether. Even if you're an air hostess, there could be things and stories that you have from being an air hostess that filmmakers do not have.
Yes. So every step is really, really important.
Very, very important.
Okay. Let's pick that as we go. Okay. So to the next question. You are I saw in your book, you are in the Hostel series. And it was your first job. As someone who finished an IT course and then came out and got into writing at once.
Yes.
What was that entire experience like? Moreover, being on a series that was that popular at that time.
I think you don't know when you're in it.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thrilled. It didn't feel like a very big deal. It's so sad and it feels like a spoiled child speaking. But at that time when I was in it, I think because I had been doing so much work, I'd been gigging here left and right. So for me, at first I thought, oh, this is another gig. They said, but this gig wants me to stay for a whole year.
Before you even respond to that question, there is a lot of, there's something about you write about gigs in the book, and I really wanted to address it on this episode. So many times as creatives, we find ourselves in an environment of gigs.
Yeah.
And yes, for the start, it's good because you gain experience. But after some time, it starts taking a toll on you.
You start tiring.
Yeah. What can you tell someone who is in that state of life right now, in their creative life and career, they are doing gigs?
Back to the school.
Yes.
If you're doing your IT, human beings crave stability. At least I do.
Yeah.
Maybe you also do. You need something that helps you make sense of life. And usually a way to earn 9 to 5 is very helpful because you sort of set up your mind and you say, okay, if this is my day job, the other one can become my gigging, my extra. Because when you do the gigs over and over again, they're not going to pay your bills well.
They're
not going to help you
Not.
keep your financial goals. It's going to disturb you a lot. And your times are forever switching because you're working, you're left and right. One time I found myself in the middle of Ginger on a gig in an elevator. And my mother called and she's like, Ogambi Oliwa? And I was like, where am I? What am I doing? Like, that's when that day I was so tired because I'd just been bouncing like a tenor from one thing to the next. Okay, then, like calling people, please fix me. Don't forget about me.
No
guys.
Stability.
Yes, so that lack of stability doesn't always help. When you're still new to the craft, it's nice. You get to know a lot of people very quickly when you're gigging. But later, I always encourage, even now, our film industry is still in a gig economy. We have not stabilized and say, when you come out of school, sign yourself here. The jobs will be like this and like this. Maybe the TV series had a good way of bringing it. Yeah. They were a bit more stable. But if you're out of something stable, especially when you're an adult, when life is about to life, get yourself a 9-to-5 if you can. Stay so such that it keeps you as stable as possible. But as you're there, make a plan. How am I going to get out of this and sit with the dream that I want to?
At the end of the day, be focused.
Exactly.
Because yes, you're going to do the gigs, but after some time you need to stabilize.
Yes.
And as you're stabilizing, you have a plan too.
Exactly. That's my honest remark on that.
That is very true because we are really in a gig economy.
Yeah. It has not yet
stabilized. And this is not only in the creative space, it's everywhere. And I think it's also because of unemployment and what, but we need to work on that.
Yeah.
Yes. So back to the Hostel series.
Yes.
I believe most of us have watched this series, The Hostel. So tell us the experience of being a writer.
Writing there, so it was the very first time I'd written, like properly. I'd taken classes on screenwriting and things like that, and so I just carried away whatever I'd carried away from those lessons and done my own thing. Part of the reason they picked me up was because I had written about 4 to 6 episodes and handed them in to be picked as a writer for The Hostel. No, I thought that they were going to give me money and I shoot. When I think about it now, I'm like, who would? You don't have a production house.
You are being ambitious. It's okay.
Exactly. The dream was really dreaming.
Yeah.
As I said, very delusional.
You have to be delusional sometimes.
So when I got there, it was very new. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people that I was learning with. Our dear editor, Mr. Kwezi Kaganda, was quite a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. Just now he would cancel my scripts because I was still writing like a child. And so it took a lot of years for him to get some principles down my throat. But it was what it was. I really learned a lot. I honestly thank God for their extreme patience. Yeah, because we were all learning on job. None of us had studied this.
Yeah.
But we had such a great team. We had about 5 writers. We had a head writer and the rest of us, the writers and the editor. I had a good time. Yeah.
At the Hostel series.
I honestly had a good time. I can't lie. Yeah.
Okay. So you did face, apart from, of course, the fact that you were still a new writer in the field, were there any other challenges you faced?
Being what do they call that? Rubbishing my scripts.
Oh.
Yeah, sometimes your work will be rejected and for you you're holding on to it. And we had a phrase in the writer's room and they say, kill your babies, and we're like, that's such a harsh thing to say. But it's because you'd hold on to your idea like it's a child and you're like, I don't want to let go of this idea, I think it should happen this way, I think John should walk into the room, and then and then they'll be like, no, we're not doing that. Your story is nice, it does not serve the purpose of the scene.
So you struggled with maybe bringing in your creative ideas.
Yes.
And then they were saying, no, this is not the direction you are following.
Yeah, but now I have such thick skin about it. Even if I write an entire script and you rubbish the whole thing and say start over, I'll be like, great, you're the client. Whichever direction you want is what we'll take. Yeah, but it took many years. And as writers, it's one thing we struggle with, criticism.
We do.
Yeah, we don't want to be told that what we wrote maybe wasn't good enough.
No, I feel like creating is also not very easy. So by the time you sat down maybe at 3 a.m. and thought of that idea, and then someone is saying it's trash, it kind of is very hurtful. So I get that, the criticism.
Yeah, it's hurtful, but it's for your own good.
Yeah, of course.
Because you brought the work forward to be turned into a draft too.
Positive criticism.
Positive criticism, for
Which is
sure.
necessary.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the book you mentioned how after the Hostel series, I think after like 5 years, it came to a halt. And then you decided to go and do a master's in business when you traveled to London and did it. My question for you was, you know, after now being in a big series like that, why didn't you go and do a master's in writing or journalism? Why did you not do it in business?
I know. I think my family was still very bent on this is not a way for you to live. And business was their middle ground.
Okay. I get that.
Yeah, business was the middle ground. But I would have loved to go and do maybe a master's in film, something that I honestly had loved. But also I think I didn't want to lie to my parents because I could have gotten there and done anything I want. Yeah.
So you went and did business. Did you enjoy it?
I did, apart from the cold.
Oh yeah, London is quite cold. It's quite cold.
Yeah, and it was my first time being away from home, so I was very homesick. I missed my family quite a lot. But I think I enjoyed it. I learned a lot.
And do you think that maybe learning that business, doing masters in business, might have helped with your projects later on?
Yes, it did, because it focuses you a little better. Alignment, as you said, is always very important.
Very important.
Even if we sit here and we talk, if it doesn't make financial sense to be here, we won't do it for very long.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so it kind of made me count the cost of everything a little better.
So I'm going to move away from career a bit because around that season, after you finishing your master's, your mom got sick. And so many times in life, we have seasons in our lives that are a bit hard. And I know there are many people out there who have experienced the same thing. Sometimes it's not even maybe a death, but some other bigger things come in.
Yeah.
How was that season for you as a writer and as Daphne?
I stopped writing. I used to do a lot of poetry. I stopped completely. It was my way of checking in with myself, how I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, you just sit down and you just go on a piece of paper. I did not write for like 5 years.
I understand.
I couldn't.
I understand.
It was just too much. It's like the ink was dry on a pen.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult. It also felt very sudden. In my mind, I was like, moms don't die. Moms are there forever. I mean, who else is going to be there if not your mom, right? I felt like we knew it was coming, but it was still very unexpected. Yeah, so the season was as difficult as it could possibly be, to be honest. It was very cold, it was very lonely. It's part of the reason why I decided to move back completely, because I didn't see myself out there gallivanting in the winter of it all, as my family is here trying to deal and manage with everything that my mom had left behind. Yeah, it's difficult, and I think in some ways it still is.
Yeah, because as a creative, there's always, not only as a creative, as a human being, we always have the ups and downs in every season we're in. Yeah. And there are times that the downs are bigger and a bit heavy. And I know we have some writers, I've also heard of stories of writers who could no longer write because of such seasons. What can you tell a writer who is maybe going through that right now? Because I know you survived it and you've healed from it, or you're still healing. So maybe a word from you could touch them.
Those seasons are unfortunately part of the ecosystem of life.
Yeah.
If you watch The Lion King, it had never rung true until the time my mom passed, that it's a circle of life. We're born, we live, we die.
Circle of life, indeed.
Yeah, but so I think accepting for a start is very important. That unfortunately in this part of the journey, or it may not even be a death. It may just be something really horrible that has happened. That life is full of ups, but it's also full of downs. Sometimes as dreamers, we are constantly in a very happy world. We don't realize that it has tips and tumbles. But I would encourage, even before I started writing again, I think that's how I kind of found myself producing, because I didn't want to write anymore. But I was like, well, I can help other people come up with their things and make them nice, So I was producing actors most of the time because I understood acting quite well. Don't get yourself out of the space.
So continue doing your thing.
Continue. At least go on sets and visit.
Yeah.
Yeah, something in you will be reignited slowly but surely. Yeah. And honestly, if you don't feel like it, give yourself a break. Yeah.
Yeah, it's necessary to accept that I'm not fine sometimes.
Yeah, it's okay to take a month off and say, you know what, I'm doing other things with myself.
Yeah.
Let me not even have to think about it. But if you feel like the time has been too long, go and visit other writers. Read other people's books. You'll start thinking, why did she write this, Why did they write this? And it will probably help you come back slowly and start cultivating, the feelings for your passion again.
Yeah. That is very important because these things happen. They are part of the circle of life, like you've said. But sometimes I know as writers, since we are most of us are a bit emotional and more deep than other people, so it could break us a little bit more. But like she said, continue, keep pushing every day. Eventually, one day you'll wake up and you don't feel that too much of that pain.
Yeah, you can even pour that pain into the craft.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
and you say, yeah.
Okay, so away from family, you're back to career.
Okay.
I'm so sorry about that.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you.
I know she's with the angels.
Amen.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, as COVID approached, you see, God is really interesting. As COVID approached, you got yourself into another amazing project, the Sanyu series. I know most of you are watching it even right now because it's still going on.
Yes,
the many seasons on Pearl Magic Prime. You were part of the scriptwriters, and remember earlier you said you also wanted to do acting, and the Hostel series they didn't give you an opportunity, but
no,
here
they did.
They did.
Yes,
okay.
They did. Yeah.
Okay, they did. That was amazing. So this side, you got also into acting and script writing. How was that entire experience? It being, one of those tough seasons of our lives. COVID was really a bad time, and yet for some weird reason, God helped, and you got this amazing project. How was that?
I think it was very new to all of us.
Yeah.
We were all trying to understand what it would look like. But for some people who had been with the hostel, they understood exactly what it was. It was just a 9 to 5. Only that we're now doing film. So it was very comfortable. It felt very good to be back.
Okay,
in a way.
Yeah.
It was very exciting. People were real stars. Like you would literally walk down the street, and because I remember I was acting. I think my character name was Pesh at the time, and she was this insane human being who is trying to take a husband away from a wife.
Yeah.
And I'm in the supermarket buying some groceries, and this little kid came and held me. I said, Pesh! And I was like, huh? Who is this? I was like, Pesh. And he held on for dear life. And then, finally he came loose and he said, hi, Pesh. And he was so excited. And I said,
you had forgotten.
I forgot it completely.
But that is so exciting. So that's the thing of doing really amazing things. People really do end up recognizing you, and you're like, what? I did that, and people actually saw, and they liked it. And okay, we've been speaking so much of the writing bit of it. How was the acting bit of it? Was it fun?
So fun. I'd never been a bad person before on set. So I was so excited. I was like, bring it on. I want to be the worst person ever.
Of course, you have to make people hate your character for it to actually be good. You have to make people hate your character.
It was honestly really, really fun for me to shoot this villainous human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they were very professional. I feel like the entire production was quite well managed. They were doing their very best. Yeah, I feel like the team was honestly as good as it can get.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I've seen the series. It's quite interesting and engaging. Yeah, but during a season of COVID, how did you guys manage? Because did you have any people getting sick?
Of course, there were many precautions that
Yeah.
were taken. If you're not supposed to be on set, you don't come to set. And of course, as writers, we were isolating, definitely. We were meeting over Zoom and things like that. I think we just managed the season as best we could.
As you could. That was nice. Sanyu. Have you guys checked that? So it's very, very interesting. So after working for some time, I think the contract got done with Sanyu.
Well,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, it was cut short.
It was cut short. Okay.
Yeah.
After that, you came into a season of wanting to be better. Okay, wanting to do something for yourself, because you had worked and had this experience, and it was time for you to step forward and say, "I want to do it myself." So, what birthed that decision? Because even before you reached there, you tell us in the book of how you are kind of getting tired of the entire routine of you wake up in the morning, go to set, write a script, act a part. What birthed that?
I think maybe creatives have this a lot, or just human beings in general. After a while of spinning around on a wheel, you get tired. But I think it's also called maturity.
Yeah.
You change every single day. Your desires are new every day. What you wanted at 19 is not what you want at 20, and things like that. So I think I grew, and I didn't realize, I had no self-awareness that I'm changing and I'm growing and I need something new. But again, with my Delulu.
It's okay to be Delulu.
Right? So I wrote a new dream.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I know, I've understood the acting. I've understood the producing. I thought I did. Now I just want to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I had no plan, to be honest. There was no plans for me at all. I just saw a call for new shows, and I think it was just bring a film or TV series, bring a short film or an animation, and I was like, okay, cool, I have an idea, but in me already, I was already getting very uncomfortable with where I was. And I think for me, now I've learned to respond positively to it, that when I get uncomfortable about something, I usually search it out and I'm like, why am I tired?
Yes.
Because, for me, it's excitement, it's gratefulness, it's, all of a sudden I'm like, okay. I'm like, what is that? Am I tired or am I tired of being here?
Yeah. Is it time to go?
Is it time to go?
I feel like we all get that nudge sometimes, and we just keep ignoring, overstaying in a place where you've outgrown. And it's really important as a creative to recognize such steps.
So I think we grow and we change every single day. Today you'll be a very happy writer for like 2 years, and after those 2 years you're like, no, not quite it. Not because you don't appreciate where you are or the people that have gotten you there. It's just more of you've changed.
You've changed, and it's time to go. It's time to move. It's time to grow.
Yeah, even your mindset has changed. You don't feel the way you used to feel before about it. But I think it's also a good thing. It's also not good to stay in some places too long.
I don't think we're meant to stay in places too long. We're meant to grow. So when you reach a level and you feel like, okay, I know this, I've outgrown, move to the next stage.
Absolutely. And I think for me, the expression of that was wrong, like I shared in the book, that instead of sort of trying to figure out where I'm at, I just started emoting and complaining and things like that. But yeah, and many of us find ourselves in that situation. Instead of moving out of the house, you've started abusing the landlord, how his houses are too small.
Or maybe moving out of your parents' house.
Right?
And you're saying, man, Your parent is now asking, where are you coming home at 9? Yet you do not communicate. It's time to move out.
Yeah.
And you're still there quarreling with your mother.
And you're like, this guy, it's not your house.
It's
Go.
not your house. Go and grow and get something.
Exactly. It means you've outgrown your bedroom.
And it's true. And that aspect is very important. Knowing when to leave, knowing when you've outgrown a place is quite important for creatives and writers to know. Because many times we find ourselves closed up in one place. You're maybe in that.
You're there, but you're complaining.
Yes, you're in that maybe.
And you're the toxic.
Thank you. The manager will tell you, today you came to work at 10, and you're like, yeah, I felt like it. I'm tired. I woke up late. And you're disrespecting the managers, you're disrespecting the supervisors, and you also don't know what is wrong. Sit with yourself. It's time to move.
Yeah.
It's time to move.
It is. I
like the fact that you are sorry about that part in the book. And then you come and you tell us how you began this amazing project called Borders. By the way, have you watched Borders? You should go check it out. It's a very nice film. She was the creator, producer. She was behind it all. Amazing. So tell us the experience you had as a first-time producer.
Yeah. So I remember how I said I thought I got it.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't. At all.
Wow.
So producing is the business side of everything.
Yeah.
Producing is the bringing together of the story, the creatives, the crew, and all that. That's basically producing. So I was a line producer, creative producer, just no executive producer. I was just producing from top to bottom. I could have gotten a lot of support, but there was no financial gain for many of the people I reached out to. So it was not a very easy thing for them to deal with.
Yeah.
But also going into the project, our funders explained that we're not giving you all the money that you need. So you need to figure out where the rest of the money will come from. We're giving you a head start. If you accept it, you'll still be bound by contract. Yeah. And me, dream. I was like, it will work out somehow.
I love the ambition. You see, that's the beauty of ambition. It makes you crazy sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't even know. You go and like, I have to start tomorrow. You have that dream at 3 a.m. and in the morning you're like, you know what? I have to start. No one is stopping me.
Exactly. So it was very scary.
Yeah.
Some parts of it were not very good. Part of being a leader is that everybody thinks they are a better leader than you. Just like in our country, everybody is a better president than the president. It's just human nature.
Yeah.
We feel like, why did they do this? Should have done this instead. Imagine, So I got a little bit of that, but I also got to learn to appreciate how difficult the film business really is, because producing is one thing, getting it on market is another, and reaping out of that market is also another complete different story.
So there were 3 stages to the finish line.
My husband is still, I think he's still traumatized.
I would be traumatized if I was him.
He's still traumatized by how dangerous our film business is.
No, because from what I read, you went through a lot.
Yes, it was.
You went through a lot. And I think it's good to some extent that you went through all that, because we need to grow. We need to grow. And sometimes we're not going to always be ready and have it all together.
That's true. I think I was not really ready for that stage of growth.
Yeah.
But having come out of it, it's still very scary, because even now I have 2 scripts unshot, but I'm always counting the cost. I'm always like, we're not doing Borders again like that. we are not falling into financial ditches. What? No. So the lessons are very important, like you said, but it was very rough at some point.
So
completely.
Someone who is starting a film tomorrow, can you give them 5 lessons that you learned from just Borders? Yeah.
First of all, business. Film is a business at the end of the day. Before you even secure the script, secure the actors, secure the equip, please figure out, where is this story going, who is going to buy it, and at how much.
Yeah.
If you can get even a contract, which is really difficult, if you can get even some money up front, and they say, we're going to buy your product for maybe this much, and maybe they even write an agreement that upon receiving it, we're going to give you something. Please don't start working out of zeros. Yeah, and also number 2, don't use any of your own money.
Don't use any of your own money.
If you can.
Okay.
Or don't put in money that will completely pain your backbone, like the backbone of your finances. Because at the end of the day, film is quite expensive. If this was a film set, everything would be bought, from the mics to the table we're sitting on, to our hairstyles, to our jewelry. Everything is bought, even the clothes that we're wearing. So the prices are incredibly crazy. So if you can, don't, if possible, if you can use maybe 20% of your income and leave the rest for you to survive and to be so don't use your income, and first go down the line completely. If possible, advertising your product is as important as shooting it. Okay. So make sure that your advertising budget is good and thick and heavy. If you can leverage social media to the max, please do. You need to be able to see your thing move. Like wherever you turn, it should be about your show. Yeah. Whether you go on X or where, it should be about your show.
Marketing is important.
Very important.
It's very important.
Yeah, and then get the right team.
Okay.
It's important. Don't do everything. Get your team. When I was doing borders, I was mostly producing. I did not act, but I wrote. I wrote because the writing comes way earlier than everything else. But had it all happened in the same timeline, I would not have done it.
Wow.
Yeah, I would not have done it.
From what I've picked, let me remind people, because they're not getting.
Okay.
Number 1, make sure you have, please remind me if I'm making a mistake. Make sure you have a good budget.
Yes.
Make sure you have a good budget.
Before you even do anything.
Before you do anything. And I think it's even on the side, you should have some extra money just.
Yes. Yeah. And make sure you have people who you're going to sell the product to. Don't first finish it and then say, okay, we'll see who. Go and look for the people who are going to buy it first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll struggle a lot and it will feel like you're doing it for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2, don't use your own money. No. Make sure, because when you've of course planned properly on the first budget, not using your own money is like.
Yeah.
Number 3, marketing. Make sure you have a marketing budget.
Even before they say the script is done, get marketing. I'm telling you, it will save you a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, get your marketing.
Number 4, get a good team that you can rely on.
Yes.
Then the 5th one was?
I didn't give the 5th one.
Please give us the 5th one.
I didn't give the 5th one, but pray.
Pray.
Yeah.
Please pray.
Make it a point for you as the producer or someone who is going to do your film. Make sure you're praying over your project. If it's even possible, have someone on set who is just constantly praying.
It's that serious.
No, not because, prayer is safety, prayer is comfort as well.
Yeah.
So there is safety and comfort. Sometimes you need safety, but most of the time you just need the comfort of it. Yeah. So,
guys, you've heard the 5 steps. If you're going to make a film, start with these ones, then you can do the rest. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I know there are many producers who have cried. They have cried.
Just no.
And what I read, I was literally feeling your pain and your emotions and the back and forth. And, could you also say something about leadership? Because I saw also in what you were writing, the leadership sometimes was, sometimes you are failing yourself, sometimes it was a bit stretchy.
Yes.
What can you say about that?
Yes, the truth is that all of us are leaders and all of us are born leaders. There's always a generation behind you.
Yeah.
And even if it's ahead of you, there is a level of leadership that we all need to cultivate. And unfortunately, it's very painful to become a leader, you're the one who has to sacrifice yourself. You're the one who has to be honest. You're the one who has to have the big conversations. And I took a minute to realize that it was my responsibility to be a leader. But when I did, I said, oh, Jesus Christ, oh, what have I done? You understand? I think more than being right, there are bigger things than being correct or politically correct or you doing the right thing. And I think leadership takes a very central stage for creatives. If you can lead your team well, if you can lead yourself well, it'd be all those things. For me, some of the things that went up and down and left and right were mostly because I was refusing to heed to the call of being a leader. I wanted to still hide. I wanted to still be cuddled and taken care of and be led. Yet I had stepped up and said, I want to be a big bad producer. And I was like, and I didn't realize that part of being a big bad producer is taking up the leadership mantle.
Taking charge and saying, why is this camera? Why is this not okay?
Yes, and all those problems sit at your table. And you cannot remove them from your table without giving.
Can't.
Yes, leadership is about decision making.
Yeah.
The buck stops with you. Yeah.
Because everyone will look at you. So today we've not eaten. Miss Daphne, we've not eaten.
That's a decision you made.
It's a decision you have to make.
Yes.
So it's really important. Actually, leadership goes across everything.
Everything.
Even as you're writing your book, you're a leader because you're directing people in your decisions on how to make them feel about what you've written.
Yeah.
So leadership is really vast, and I think we should also appreciate it in our creative space and writing.
Absolutely.
So we've come to the end of this very interesting episode.
Felt very quick.
Yes, but give us one last word before we close.
Oh dear. So I think life is quite dynamic. There is the physical life, there is the emotional life, there's the spiritual life. So when you think of your dreams and you think of yourself as a human being, you're not just a human doing. That's where these dreams come in, and we're allowed to celebrate who we are, and we're allowed to dream very big, I think it's very important for people to take themselves seriously, even on an emotional level, like creatives do. I think sometimes we shun it and we're like, I don't want to be bogged down by all those feelings. Now I'm going to feel weird. My husband usually says, I don't feel like a girl.
Nice one.
But girl or not, you do have an emotional life, and it's good for you to grow it to its maturity.
Yeah.
But also there is a very physical life that we live, that is run by discipline, that is run by our work, that is not controlled by our emotions, that where the decisions are supposed to be made and the leadership built in. I think my take for writers is these three things need to balance: your spirit, your soul, your body. They need to really be quite well balanced.
You need to have an alignment to everything.
Yes, there needs to be an alignment such that you don't feel like, I'm more of an emotional person. The emotional person will never work.
It will never.
You get, and me, I'm more of a worker, but your work may not have heart in it. So I think one of the things about creatives is that we tend to lazy about. We tend to overthink and outthink ourselves
and
into
die
doing
in our
things.
dreams.
Exactly. You've been writing a book for 10 years.
Yeah.
The book is still it's in process. We are loading. Load it out. Do the simple, write the manuscript. Get an editor to it, I think for me, the leadership now became, after the dream was here, it now had to come out and be manifest. And my God, yeah.
That is a very beautiful thing you've said, because many times as creatives, we sit, we are so much in our heads, and then when it even comes to real work, we think that is how it goes. I also like that you added that in the book, because when you started this production for Borders, you realized, hey, there needs to be structure.
Yes.
I cannot keep dreaming
Yes.
and thinking, it has to be beautiful, you know, it's
I'll just walk
just
onto
words,
the set.
you know.
People will be shooting.
Yeah, you have to actually put a structure. That is so true.
Yeah.
You actually have to put a structure that, guess what, in the morning at 8, when we come, we have to have a sit.
Yes.
This is the first thing coming. We have to make sure our cameras are okay. We have to
Yeah.
make sure our people are paid.
Yeah.
Like, we have to follow through.
Yeah.
So many times we fail to bring out our visions because we are in our heads.
Yes.
As writers, we need to get out of our heads.
Absolutely.
Thank you for bringing that out.
You're welcome.
We need to thank you for bringing that out.
You're very welcome.
Yes, so let me wrap this up. Thank you so much for sparing your time to
Thank
come
you,
and be with
Jenny.
us here
I've had a
on the
very good
Author's
time.
Mind. We loved having you.
Thank you. Very good conversation.
Yes, thank you. So, in case you have forgotten or you did not listen at the beginning, this book, Dreams Come True, but Are You Ready? You should get yourself a copy just at 35,000 Uganda shillings. Where are the websites? You have it on ebook?
We don't have it on ebook just yet,
Yeah.
but we'll share some numbers where you can quickly get it, because
Yes,
all the ebooks places are a bit more expensive for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kindly get a copy of this book at only 35,000 Uganda shillings. If you want a copy, send us a DM on the Author's Mind and we shall respond to you. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think of this episode. And do not forget to like, follow, subscribe on all our social media platforms at 25 Author's Mind. My name is Jenny and this is the Author's Mind.